ago, there was a very important man. Oh, he owned a fine house and had a huge barn that was filled with horses and sheep and cows. He had lots of money. And because he was so important, everyone called him the Squire, and they would bow and curtsy before him. Surely a man as important as me, said the Squire, should have a wife. And so he began to consider all of the young women there in the village. Well, one day, he was driving down the road, and he saw a girl working in the field. Oh, he liked how she looked, but more than that, she smiled and sang while she worked. He found out that her name was Annie, and he called Annie to him. He said, Annie, I should like to get married. Well, one may like much and more, thought Annie. How surprised she was when she was told that she was the one the Squire wanted to marry. And how surprised was the Squire when Annie said, no, thank you. But surely you must understand, I'm a very wealthy man. No, I'm not interested, said Annie. Well, all the cajoling and pleading, nothing could get Annie to marry a man more than twice her age and a pompous fool as the Squire at that. Well, the Squire thought about it. And the next day he went to visit Annie's father. And it was agreed, if Annie's father could get her to marry the Squire, the father would be given a field and a bag of gold as a dowry. But the father pleaded, he begged, he cajoled, but nothing could get Annie to marry the Squire when she didn't love him. Well, finally, the Squire and the father met one more time, and the Squire said, I've had quite enough of this. Bring Annie to me. When she sees the fine house that she shall live in, and the beautiful mansion that she shall be in charge of, and the wardrobe she shall have, surely then she shall agree to be the Squire's bride. Well, the day dawned clear and bright. The Squire invited all of the villagers to the wedding. They were there. No one knew he was going to marry. And when all was ready and all in place, the food was ready, the Squire called a young stable boy to him. Go to the farmer and get that which has been promised to me. The boy didn't know what he was to get, but he went as quickly as he could. And when he got there, he said to the farmer, I've been sent for that which has been promised to the Squire. Very well, said the farmer. You'd better go get her. She's up in the field. So the boy went to where Annie was in the field. I've been sent for that which has been promised to the Squire. Right away, Annie figured out what was happening. And just as quickly, she made a plan of her own. Very well, she said, you better take her then. And she pointed to the old gray mare, placidly grazing in the field. The boy didn't know what he was supposed to get. He said, okay. And he got on the horse and he rode back as quickly as he could. He went inside, leaving the horse outside, and said, sir, she's outside. Very well. Have her taken upstairs to the front bedroom and dressed in a wedding gown. But sir, she's at... Never mind what she is. If you can't handle her yourself, get your friends to help you. Well, the boy assumed the Squire was playing a trick on the wedding guests. So he got some friends and they got their horse up the step. One of them got a carrot, and they led the horse up the step to the front bedroom. They went down to the kitchen. They got 3 girls. Go up and dress the horse in the wedding gown. The Squire's playing a trick on the other side. Laughing and giggling, the girls went upstairs. They took that beautiful wedding dress. They draped it across the horse's rump, tying the sleeves underneath his neck. They put a crown of flowers between the ears and a veil of Belgian lace over the horse's face. Then they got upstairs. Squire, she's ready. Very well. Have her taken downstairs to the parlor where the guests are. Well, by this time, the guests were wondering when they heard this terrible clatter on the steps. Now, the preacher, he was a bit flamboyant, like some preachers tend to be. He didn't wait to find out what was happening. He threw open the doors and said, ladies and gentlemen, the Squire's bride. And there stood the old gray mare. The flowers were over one eye and the veil was over another. The guests gave a shout of laughter. And that poor old horse turned on its heels and ran out the front door and was last seen running down the road with the wedding dress flapping in the breeze behind it. Well, the wedding guests had something to talk about for many a day. As for the Squire, he never went courting again. As for Annie, well, some say she married and some say not. But one can be certain that Annie lived happily ever after.